How's it going, guys and geeks? Welcome back to the Geekritique show. I'm Jen.
And I'm Dakota.
And we're going to review the Doctor Who episode, End of Time.
Yes, it's a two-part episode. It's the last of David Tennant's run as the 10th Doctor. It's not a perfect episode, by any means. It's a lot of fun.
I think it's a whole lot of fun.
So we're going to be discussing that, but just so you guys are aware, next week we're going to be reviewing Full Circle. It's a 4th Doctor story, so if you're at all interested in joining us for that, you can definitely check that out next week, or you can check it out right now on Patreon. We'll put the link in the description below to our Patreon page. You guys who are helping us out on Patreon are kind of fueling the channel. It's like putting gas in the car a little bit, you know?
You're stoking our fires.
Yes, you are. So that's available on Patreon right now for you guys. And our random patron of the day is Daniel Fahringer,
Dan!
who happens to be our very first patron ever. So thanks, Dan.
And a friend.
Yes, and also a personal friend. But anyway, on to the show.
It is said that in the final days of planet Earth, everyone had bad dreams.
Jen, first thoughts. What did you think of the End of Time? It's not the first time you've seen it, obviously.
I thought it was good as, like, an understatement. It definitely had its flaws, but it was emotional, I think, for me most of anything, because Donna is one of my favorite companions. So there were scenes where seeing Ten's agony, looking at her, not like that whole thing going on, and she's like a part of the story, but she doesn't even know it, is really just sad to me. Mm-hmm. You know, but at the same time, you're happy to see her happy.
What? Sorry, but I had to. Look, can't you make her better?
Stop it.
No, but you're so clever. Can't you bring her memory back? Look, just go to her now. Go on, just run across the street. Go up and say hello.
If she ever remembers me, her mind will burn and she will die.
So I think it was a bit emotional, and then too, David Tennant is my favorite Doctor. As of yet, I don't know. We're watching New Who. Maybe that'll change. David Tennant's like my Doctor, so the whole episode knowing he's gonna leave is like so frustrating.
It's yeah.
Don't you touch this car!
It's a pain in your gut, like
Yeah.
watching him go, because he doesn't want to go.
He doesn't.
I don't want to go.
I will say it's kind of like a tour de force of everything that Russell T Davies did for the show, emotionally, with his character-driven series, because his run is very character-driven.
Mm-hmm. Which I really appreciate and enjoy.
And it's a very, like, modern-day take on Doctor Who. Most of the episodes take place on relative to release modern-day Earth, which was fun at the time. It was part of the show's charm when it was rebooted in 2005. So that also happens to be Russell T Davies' last story he ever wrote for the show, at least as of right now. Since Stephen Moffat has taken over, apparently Stephen Moffat's offered Russell T Davies every year to come back and write some episodes, or an episode, and he's politely declined, though apparently he's in like really good standing with Stephen Moffat, so he's always emailing him after like the episodes, just like, I like this one, I didn't like this one, stuff like that, which is good. It's a good relationship to have with your replacer, essentially. Mm-hmm. So that's good to hear. But with the End of Time, so much of the strengths and weaknesses of his run.
What are you doing here? Shimmer!
So much of the campiness and the cheesiness and everything that, you know, he took from what he loved about Classic Who was incorporated with all the strengths and emotions and character that he
Built up.
Yeah, that he built up for the 9th and 10th Doctors and their respective companions. Mm-hmm. It's all there in this one 2-part episode. And for a long time, The End of Time Part 2 was my favorite episode, which is a ridiculous notion coming from someone who is like a very critical geek, because it's kind of a crap story, if I'm being entirely honest with myself, but it's those last 15 minutes that just are probably some of the best of Doctor Who history, I think.
And I think the reason why that is because you can see the compassion and the love that the Doctor has for the people that he's traveled with. And his last moments that are supposed to be time that he's taking for himself, he's going back and helping them one last time. And I think that just really drives home who he is and what he stands for. Really taking the concept of there is more happiness in giving to another level.
That's true.
But even the small things, like at the end when he sees Rose, I think you're gonna have a good year. Come on.
Yeah.
Ah.
I bet you're gonna have a really great year.
Yeah?
There's a lot going for those last 15 minutes. Like you said, it's a matter of like what he can give, more so than what he can receive.
Because to him, it's equal. If as much as he's giving, he's receiving that back.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
Any amount of joy that he gives to them is joy that he's getting back, and I love that.
He even calls it his reward.
Yeah.
Like that's what he gets at the end of the day, to see people happy, which is, that's a big part of the 10th Doctor's run, is the idea of happiness and like how it's obtained. And so much of his character is a very lonely doctor, so it's fitting that he goes out alone. Even though the Oods sing him to his sleep.
We will sing to you, Doctor. The universe will sing you to your sleep.
What did you think of John Sim returning as the Master? Let's preface this with the week leading up to the episode World Enough and Time and the reveal of John Sim being the Master. I showed you the first episode of The End of Time.
Which I have seen before.
Yes.
But it's amazing, because Dakota already knew that he was coming back.
Right.
That Johnson was coming back. I managed to somehow evade that spoiler. And it was a huge shock, but especially after just seeing him in all of his glory in that episode, it really was like the best surprise ever.
Someone's former Prime Minister.
What? 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 And
Did you have any like inkling as to like why I was asking you to watch The End of Time?
No, I had no idea, because we had already talked about possibly doing this, where we, review older episodes. So I thought that that's why we were watching that. I was like, that's an interesting place to start David Tennant's conclusion as the Doctor, and especially an episode I've already seen before instead of Classic Who, which a lot of the episodes I haven't seen before.
One thing I want to do with the reviews is try to get a few of the regeneration stories out into our Who review series before we get the regeneration of Capaldi into Whittaker.
Okay, so we have something to compare.
Right. So we have a notion. Especially, I want to do Who review for 10th Planet, which was the first Doctor's regeneration, because in a lot of ways this is going to be like the first Doctor's regeneration, because
he's in it.
Well, that, yes, and when the second Doctor took over, that was completely new territory for the show. Jodie Whittaker will be completely new territory for the show. It will be just as big of a change as when Patrick Troughton took over, if not more so. We'll see how that plays out.
I'm excited. But back to John Sim. His eating, we've talked about this.
Many times.
Many times. Dakota and I have talked about this. I've mentioned it to you guys. It sends chills up my arms. Just watching him, devour that whole hamburger.
Now you see, that's what you don't want to do.
At once is like, I just want to puke, I just want to puke, I just want to puke. But as a master, as the master, I adore him. I think he's perfectly evil, perfectly hilarious, and self-centered, and arrogant. Even that last scene where it's 10 and then the other Time Lords on the other side, and he's behind 10 and 10's going back and forth with the gun. He was just kind of pretending like everything that happened was his plan from the start. And I thought that was hilarious.
But it wasn't, yeah.
Clearly.
Anything
that, David Tennant could have possibly did, or any situation that could have happened, he was like, oh yeah, and, said something as if he knew all along. Which I thought was hilarious.
Let's talk about his plan for a little bit. Let's start with his resurrection. I thought that was such a stupid scene, because there are books of Saxon, the Prime Minister.
Tonight, Mrs. Saxon. He returns.
I would not believe for a second that there would be, like, books of Lincoln, the president, after he was
But, like,
shot
he
down.
totally had, like, a cult following, though. That's the difference.
Did he, though?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
I believe he did, and I thought that's why it happened. That's why all those people were kind of... It was more than just a prime minister. Like, people kind of worshipped him and saw that he was more than human. Like,
Right.
his abilities were quite incredible.
So, I guess I'm a little confused as to, like, the science behind his resurrection.
Yeah, I didn't get...
It was... They tried to incorporate magic a little too much, I think.
Yeah, which this is more...
It never really works in Doctor
This
Who.
isn't fantasy.
Yeah, it just doesn't work for Doctor Who, in my opinion. But anyway, he gets regenerated. He comes back. He's ravenous because he's burning up his, I guess, life energy or his regeneration energy or something like that. I might be remembering it poorly, but something along those lines. And he's able to have
Super jump?
superhuman powers or super Gallifreyan powers. There you go. Where he's able to, like, make energy balls or beams. And,
Get
like,
all skeleton-y.
he can fly with those beams, and yeah, he gets, like, all X-ray-y for a little bit. His ultimate plan, Jen, what is it? Do you remember?
To make everyone on Earth him.
Breaking news. I'm everyone. And everyone in the world is me.
I'm president. President of the United States. Look at me.
Because
then he's taking that away from the Doctor. Like he knows the Doctor loves humanity.
That's true. That was one of his reasons. But ultimately, I think it was so that he could figure out the noise in his head.
True. It was about the noise in his head and, like, if everybody hears it too. Yeah, that's true. I think of it ultimately as him taking from the Doctor. But
yeah.
Duh.
So Dinah Noble reappears in this episode, though she doesn't remember anything of her past life. It's funny because she even mentions, like, oh, did I miss something again? Because all her memory of the time with the Doctor is completely wiped, so
all those crazy things that happen on Earth.
She doesn't recall, which is pretty great. I guess she remembers being asleep or somehow unconscious during all of that. But we do get Donna's grandfather, Wilfred Mott.
Who we love.
My gosh.
I just love that man. When he cries and tells the Doctor that he's one of the best people he's ever met.
And please don't die. You're the most wonderful man, and I don't want you to die.
That whole exchange with the Doctor.
He doesn't want him to die. It was so real.
Bernard Cribbins, the actor who plays that role, is phenomenal in that role, and it's a shame that they've never brought him back.
Crying shame.
It's a crying shame, because I think that's the problem with, like, handing over the show to a new showrunner, is that you just kind of get rid of all that they had established up to that point. And there are scenes in this episode, clearly, of Russell T Davies trying to incorporate new ideas into the show that Stephen Moffat clearly didn't care to incorporate.
Like that woman.
The woman.
Who we don't have a name for, and was ultimately just mysterious and could reappear wherever the freak she wanted.
I don't think she was physically there, but I think she was kind of psychically connecting to Wilfred, maybe?
I don't know how she managed that, because I don't know what she is. Because she was like... Because they called her a weeping angel, which is really weird.
Well, no,
And she was like that.
They do mention, like...
Only two stand against, and will stand as monument to their shame, like the weeping angels of old.
And they kind of do that thing that the weeping angels do when they're not looking at you. The Doctor obviously recognizes this woman.
Can someone actually, like, cosplay as a weeping angel, but be a dabbing angel?
Oh, that would be good.
That would be really good. Are you a weeping angel? No, I'm a dabbing angel.
Should they wear sunglasses?
Yeah, like cementy looking sunglasses.
Muscle shirts. Should they basically be like Logan Paul with wings?
Yes.
Who do you think this character is? Because in canon, it's never officially stated, but I'm sure, like, online there are plenty of theories. You'll probably find, like, a official source online, but I don't think it could be interpreted any which way. It's kind of like Brain of Morbius, which you don't understand. But I wonder if it's... I mean, I guess it could be the Doctor's mother. I guess that would be the easiest implication to come to, because she's older looking than the Doctor.
I mean, that doesn't seem to matter with Time Lords, honestly.
No, it could very easily be his daughter or his granddaughter, who we have a name for, Susan.
Yeah, because too, she says she was lost for some time.
Right.
So that could have been his daughter, just regenerated into another form.
When she says I was lost for a time, I initially... I mean, I literally have no idea who this is talking about or what points in the story this is referring to, but it could be Susan, I guess, because, you know, the Doctor leaves her at some point in the show, just like...
Bye.
Yeah, basically, he does this little goodbye speech and just leaves her.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back.
We really won't know unless someone decides to bring that back, which I doubt anyone will. And like you said, like, it's a good thing and a bad thing that the show changes showrunners so often, because if you don't like one showrunner, you can know someone else is going to take over, and it's going to, like, that could possibly fit your needs. But then the canon can kind of waver with stuff like that. Like, not that the next showrunner is going to go out of canon, but certain things will just be left unanswered.
Left unanswered, or
not come full circle.
Next week, full circle. Speaking of full circle, we're actually going to be linking that in the description so that you guys can go and grab that DVD or potentially stream it. I can't find anywhere that it's actually streaming. There's actually a streaming service called BritBox that does stream some classic Who episodes. I'm not sure if Full Circle is on there, but maybe give it a shot. But definitely I recommend getting the DVDs. That's what we've been using for this.
And then you feel really cool when you have a collection.
When you have a large collection of useless
like Dakota's
junk.
built up over time. That takes up a lot of space in our very small apartment.
I really like my Doctor Who DVDs, Jen.
It was a package deal. I couldn't get one without the other.
Anyway.
I wanted the Doctor Who collection set, but then he came with it. It's unfortunate.
What did you think of the Doctor's speech where he's kind of like yelling at Wilfred for you had to be that guy. You had to. It's a weird speech.
I actually really liked that.
I'm an old man, Doctor. I've had my time.
Well, exactly. Look at you. Not remotely important. I could do so much more.
I feel like I could see why a lot of people wouldn't like that, though.
It's kind of pretentious at first.
Well, I mean, if anyone has the right to be pretentious, it's the Time Lord. The only good one. The whole 2 episodes, he's waiting. He's heard the 4 knocks. He knows he's going to die soon. The pressure of knowing he's going to die soon. And he keeps thinking he's heard it and that he's going to die, and keeps surprisingly, miraculously living. And then the person he least expects it to come from. Wilfred.
That's true.
And it's frustrating because he was trying to help someone else. And the Doctor told him, no, Wilfred, don't. The Doctor knows, there wasn't a doubt in his mind, I'm positive, that he was going to save Wilfred, but it was just, it's frustrating. It's like if you're running a race and your time is great and you're doing so well, and at the very end, a banana peel is in your way and you fall, and that's how you lose. You know, it's like something ridiculous that you weren't expecting.
True. Okay.
That there's nothing you can do about it, you know. But, and I really like that because it almost showed, like, that sounds stupid to say about an alien, but it showed the humanity in him. That frustration, that inability to control time. Like, it still keeps moving forward. It's not like he can just jump back really quick and fix that. He is limited. So he came so far, he did everything he could, and then that happens. Just one small slip up led to his death. And he doesn't want to go. But I actually really liked that. I thought that really showed a lot about him. But watching it, I was like, I could picture a lot of people not liking this, but I loved it.
Like I said, at first, it's like, why is the Doctor saying all this to, like, poor Wilfred? Like, he didn't know that it was going to go nuclear. You feel bad for Wilfred because he's such a good guy, and he's telling the Doctor, no, please, you're such a wonderful man, I don't want you to go. And just, no, please, just go, I'll be fine, I've had a good life. And it just pulls at the heartstrings, and you feel bad that the Doctor's like guilting him in this scene, but he pulls it off at the end by saying, "No, it would be my honor to die for you," because ultimately he does know that he will regenerate from it. So,
and ultimately, that's a much better reason to die to save Wilfred than... I felt like there was so much more heart in that death than if he had died just lying on the floor after... What was up with that crash landing? The most pointless entrance of all time. But if he had died there, that would have, like, just sucked. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that he died saving Wilfred is honorable.
Yeah, that was really...
It's dignified.
There's a lot of really, like...
Just dumb.
Dumb choices in this story.
What was that? It was literally, like, they're all talking, and imagine you're just, like, in like a banquet hall. I don't know what that room even was. And then all of a sudden, like, a guy just crashes and falls on the floor, holds a gun to you, and then just drops it.
Like, I like the idea that the Time Lords came back using John Sim as basically like a beacon. I keep saying John Sim. He's the master. Let's call him the master. I like the idea that they brought him back. They used him as a beacon for that. And
basically ruined his life.
Oh, just so that they can, like, be pulled back into his existence only for the Doctor to foil their plan.
All along. So his whole life he was crazy for no reason, basically.
Yeah.
But that whole scene shows such a stark difference between the Doctor and those Time Lords. Because they're willing to ruin a life, someone's entire life long, in order to bring themselves back, in order to prevent themselves from dying. Whereas the Doctor is willing to give his life and let it be an honor for this, like, really sweet old dude.
Alright, Jen. Final thoughts on the end of time.
It's emotional. It's an emotional roller coaster. Especially all of the, like, dumb stuff that happens during the episodes, I think, is countered by how beautiful the ending is.
Right.
And, that song.
Oh, Wale Decem. Or,
yeah.
As the choir pronounces it, Vale Decem. It grates me every time. But it is a really beautiful song, produced by Murray Gold. It means goodbye 10. And the choir repeats Vale Decem 10 times before he just explodes in a blaze of glory. What did you guys think of the end of time? Parts 1 and 2. Please let us know in the comments below. And let us know what stories you want us to do after the next few that we're doing, because we're going to be doing Full Circle and then State of Decay the next week. So be there or don't.
Be there or don't come full circle.
No, doesn't work.
No.
Alright guys, have a good one.
Bye.